welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 19, the ow, ow and oi, oi patterns. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your blue book open to page 119. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your paper. If at any point I move too fast, please pause the video and catch up. All right, so for the last several weeks, we focused on vowel teams and letter combinations that make long vowel sounds. Well, we've gotten through all 5 long vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. And so today we're moving on to a new type of vowel team, and that's called a diphthong. A diphthong is a sound that's actually made up of 2 sounds. So if you think of the ow sound, say it and listen for the 2 sounds. Ow, ow. Do you notice how it starts in the back of your mouth and then moves towards the front? It kind of slides from one sound to another. Ow. That's what makes it a diphthong. Same thing with oi. Try that in your mouth. Oi. See how it starts off kind of like a long O and then moves to a long E, oi. So that's a diphthong as well. Okay, now what makes our language confusing is that we have 2 common ways to make that ow sound. We can use OU or OW, and 2 common ways to make the oi sound, OI or OY. Whether to use this or this, or this or this, depends a lot on the location, the position in the word. Okay, so I want you to think about that as we read through our list. I want you first to listen for the ow or oi sound, and then I want you to notice the position of those vowels. All right, so let's begin. Please repeat after me. Counsel, disappoint, drought, fountain, lawyer, loyal, mountain, ointment, poison, pronounce, royal, thousand, toilet, towel, and vowel. All right, notice I already went ahead and used pink lines to mark our syllables and green check marks to mark the stressed syllable. That's the part we say a little bit louder and stronger. All right, so what I want to do now is I'd like you to choose a color, and I want to go through and find all of our words that use OU to make the ow sound. So we see it first in the word counsel. I'm going to skip this for now. We see it in fountain, mountain, pronounce, thousand, and that's it. Okay, in our key, purple box equals OU diphthong. I'm not going to write diphthong. I guess, you know what, I'll write it one time so you can see what it looks like, and then you can decide if you want to keep writing it. Okay, so in all those places we have OU saying ow. Now I want you to notice that OU is always tucked in the middle of a syllable. It's always followed by a consonant, never left hanging on its own. So there's an N after it, an N, another N, an S, okay? Let's look for OW now. Let's choose another color, and let's find OW in words like towel and vowel. I don't think I missed any. Notice the location of OW. See how it's at the end of a syllable? Towel, vowel. you are already familiar with this pattern at the ends of the words like how and cow and now, okay? But you can see here that most of the time, OW is going to show up at the end of a word or the end of a syllable. Yes, there are exceptions, words like clown and brown and town, but for the most part, if a word is ending with an ow sound, we're going to use OW. And if it has an ow sound in the middle of the syllable, we're going to use OU. Hopefully, that will make things a little less confusing for you. Now, there's one more word on our list that contains the ow sound, and it is the OUGH in drought. Now, OUGH is probably the most complicated, crazy pattern in our language. It actually has 6 different sounds. It can be pronounced ah in bought, o in though, oo in through, uff in tough, off in cough, and ow in words like drought. Okay? This is just something you're going to have to memorize. Okay? OUGH in this word is pronounced drought. And by the way, a drought is a long period with no rain. A long period with no rain. So there are parts of California that don't get rain for many, many months, and they experience a drought. And obviously a drought is really bad for the farmers who are trying to grow crops and for the towns that are trying to bring fresh water to their people. That would be a drought. Okay, so, and notice OUGH is in the middle of this syllable, but in a word like bough, like the bough of a tree, OUGH can say ow at the end of a word. So no simple rule for that. All right, let's move on now to our second diphthong, which is oi. Let's start with the OI in words like disappoint and ointment, poison, and toilet. All of those words have OI, which says oi. Notice its position. That OI is always tucked in the middle of the word or syllable, never at the end. So green box equals OI diphthong. And you already have seen that before in words like boil or coin or join. Now you're seeing it in some bigger words. The other common way to make the oi sound is with an OY. OY in words like loyal and royal. Okay? In those words, red box equals OY, it says oi. Notice the position of the oi. End of a syllable, royal. End of a syllable, loyal. You are very familiar with this pattern already with words like boy and toy and joy. OY, always at the end of a syllable. All right, there's one word we haven't talked about yet, and that is the word lawyer. Now, look at this, AW. Most of the time, AW says aw. So why is it pronounced oi here? I don't really know. Could be a dialect thing or an accent thing, because a lawyer is a person who practices law. So perhaps this word started out as lawyer, and over time it just kind of morphed into lawyer, okay? But this is just an oddball that you're going to have to memorize. When you're trying to sound out lawyer, instead of using OY, just remind yourself, oh yeah, that's a person who practices law, okay? All right, what else do we need to talk about today? Homophones. When you get to page 122, you're going to have practice with some homophones that contain the ow or the oi sound. So words like hours with an H and hours with an O. Aloud, A-L-L-O-W-E-D, and aloud, A-L-O-U-D. So I think you'll know most of these words. If not, get a dictionary or a grown-up handy so they can help you. But on our list here, we do have a homophone right here. And I think what I'll do is I'll circle it in purple. And then down here in my key, purple oval equals homophone. Remember, two or more words that sound the same but are spelled differently and have different meaning. This kind of counsel can be used as a verb. If you counsel someone, you give them advice. So when you get up to middle school and high school, you will have a counselor, and that person's job is to give you advice about which classes to take, or which colleges to apply to, or how to handle problems that you're having with your friends or your teachers. Okay, so a counselor is a person who counsels you. They give you advice. But there's another kind of counsel that's spelled like this. And this kind of council is a group of people. So for instance, a student council, a town council. It's a group of people who meet regularly to make plans and discuss ideas. Okay, so council, council, pronounced the same, spelled differently, totally different meanings. Like I said, you'll have more homophones when you get to page 122. All right, one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. You notice my t-shirt today? Isn't that funny? I want to be a schwa. It's never stressed. This year we've been breaking our words into stressed and unstressed syllables because we know that the trickiest part of a word is the unstressed syllable because it often has a schwa sound. And that schwa can be represented by any vowel. So in counsel, we have the E. In disappoint, we have a schwa here in the middle. Drought is one syllable. Check out fountain. We actually have two letters working together to make that schwa sound. We haven't seen that before. We've seen A by itself, E, I, O, U. Now we have A, I combining to make that sound, fountain. Loyal, mount, on. There it is again, the A, I. We have the E in ointment. We have the O in poison. Pronounce. This time the first syllable is unstressed and it's the O that's making the schwa sound. Royal, thousand, toilet, towel, vowel. Okay, so somewhere on your key, brown circle equals schwa. That is the vowel or the vowel combination in the unstressed syllable that says okay? That's where you're really going to have to focus your attention. To this day, when I spell the word fountain, in my head, I think fountain, A-I-A, just to remember that. I think loyal, counts L, poise on. I really stress in my mind that short vowel or long vowel sound to help me spell it. All right, real quick, let's make sure we know what all of our words mean. So we talked about counsel. If you counsel someone, you give them advice. To disappoint someone is to let them down. So to let someone down. They were really hoping that something would happen and then it didn't. Okay, so maybe your friend thinks you're going to invite her to a birthday party and then you don't. Now she's disappointed. She's feeling sad, like you let her down. A fountain sprays water, like a water fountain, or in the middle of a park, there might be a beautiful fountain that shoots water. A lawyer, that's a person who practices law. Loyal. If someone is loyal, it means you can depend on them. You can count on them. So a loyal friend is going to try really hard not to disappoint you. They're not going to hurt your feelings. They're not going to talk behind your back, right? They are trustworthy. We know what a mountain is. Some mountains are so high they have snow on top. Ointment, that's something you could put on a cut. Like if you have a bad cut and you don't want it to get infected, you might put some antibiotic ointment on there. It comes in a tube, feels kind of greasy, and you just kind of rub it into your skin. Sometimes if you have an eye infection, you might need to put some ointment on your eyelid. So it's a type of medicine. Poison is something that will kill you or could kill you, right? So if you have little brothers and sisters, you know that you have to keep your detergent pods up high. You have to keep your cleaning products up high, because if the little ones swallow it, it could be poisonous. It could kill them. To pronounce something is to say it clearly. So sometimes people have names that are hard to pronounce, especially if it's a name you've never heard before. So you have to teach people how to pronounce your name or how to say it correctly. Royal, if you are royal, you're a member of the royal household. You're either a king, a queen, or a princess. But royal means of kings and queens. So something to do with kings and queens. A royal castle, royal gardens, royal guard. 1,000, you know, is if you have 10 hundreds, that will make 1,000. Toilet, we all know what a toilet is, right? People use the toilet when they have to pee. A towel is something you use to dry off. So if you wash your hands, you might dry them on a hand towel. If you take a shower, you're going to dry off on a big bath towel. If you go to the beach and you step out of the water, you're going to dry off with a beach towel. So lots of different towels, but they all have the same job, to dry things. And then a vowel. Well, there's only 5 of them, right? Those are A, E, I, O, and U. All right. That's all I have for you today. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.